pandemic. And when you add the involvement of our board and our staff, I must say we are in excellent hands. Of course, a tremendous thank you to all in New York County that are involved, but specifically, I have to acknowledge your current trustee, Dr. David Schipper, who I refer to as my brother, and David knows that. Just given his years of involvement and experience, and certainly his thought process, David adds an incredible amount of knowledge and insight to the board. More important, David is not shy in asking the difficult questions sometimes required of a trustee. However, if I go back over my history and more so my friendship with so many of your members like David, Lois, Jim, Joanna, and Maurice, Suchi, Matt, and of course, Luis, the list is on, and I realize how blessed I've been to be mentored and guided by my family and friends in New York County. I also want to congratulate your line officers, and not just any assortment of line officers. History has been made once again here in New York County. First, Deborah Weisfuss as the first ever female NYSDA president who continues to serve effectively at all levels of the tripartite, and now, certainly again historic with the first all-female line of officers, even noted in the ADA morning huddle. That's not luck or happenstance, that's talent and motivation. I also want to acknowledge our younger superstars like Mina, another New York 10 under 10. That again, amazing and certainly well-deserved. I'm always impressed by the talent, the integrity, the focus your component and our organization possesses, all in the name of our profession and the public we serve. This was especially noted during our NYSDA House and ADA Virtual House, and we are blessed to have the volunteer participation and intelligent New York possesses. Forgive me if I left anyone out by name, as there are so many amazing individuals in this component and certainly in NYSDA. I'd also like to thank Diane and Susan for putting together the Zoom call tonight. So thank you, New York County, for your warmth, your support, and I only regret that we can't be together tonight, but I will tell you, not having to get on the expressway today, this afternoon, was really a wonderful thing. That being said, I really do look forward to being together again. Before I go into some politics and policies, I must also commend and acknowledge and congratulate Dr. Paul Leary and Dr. Maria Maranga on their efforts and involvement on the ADA board. Again, New York proud, and another testament to the abilities and the camaraderie our district commands. I must thank all of you, as my strength and focus comes from you, my NYSDA family. A few years ago, we changed the traditional NYSDA president-elect visit to allow for a presentation and a discussion of some of the issues we are dealing with, and I welcome your participation as this is my chance to hear your concerns as I plan my year ahead as your president. Although I have specific areas of focus in my platform, I hope to be your voice, so please tell me your thoughts. I will note that given the pandemic, its wrath, and our lessons learned in crisis management committees, this will continue to be a focus for my presidency and most likely those to follow. That being said, I also have to mention your Vice President, Dr. Jim Galati. Jim is incredibly focused, motivated, and talented, and will serve NYSDA and our membership quite well. Again, as I mentioned, I believe we are in great hands. So before we talk about COVID-19, which is of course the all-consuming issue of 2020 and 2021, I want to mention one of our ongoing issues this year regarding do-it-yourself dentistry. NYSDA led the country and with the recognition and the response to the intrusion on safe dental care for the public. We could not understand how the ADA could maintain a relationship with CVS as they were offering dental care in their stores with no dentist present. It was our advocacy that caused the ADA to terminate the CVS collaboration, and our advocacy that has passed our teledentistry bill in the Assembly and Senate unanimously, and it's now law having been signed by the governor. I will also mention one of the key players in having all this done was Paul Leary, who, as many of you know, hopefully will be the future president of the ADA. Paul will be running, and that stays within our district right now, but the talent in that boardroom, I suspect, is amazing. This bill, again, will force all dentistry done by teledentistry to provide patients with the same standard as that done in a dental office. It will also provide patients the ability to seek recourse for substandard care if it occurs. We will work closely with the New York State District Attorney and the State Education Department to enforce this new law. Given my background in ethics and liability, this was a high priority for me as I was running for NYSDA Vice President, and certainly a comprehensive hot topic at the recent ADA virtual session. We were also successful at the session in passing NISDA's Special Needs 100S1 resolution, in addition to ratifying many other resolutions necessary to our profession and the public we serve. There was quite a bit of information this year, and New York, as usual, showed up strong. Again, thanks to all who participated, and especially to Dr. Feldman and our staff, who were incredible in putting it all together and pulling it off without any issues of note. So now, let's briefly talk about COVID-19. We have never seen, and hopefully will never see again, anything like what we faced since the beginning of last March. Shutdown of our practices for almost 3 months. NISDA's work with the governor and the Department of Health allowed statewide opening June 1st. Daily changing issues, whether it was relief legislation, CDC guidelines, FDA and ADA recommendations, or New York State regulations. NISDA provided daily updates to the profession and worked with the Department of Health to guide our reopening. We provided ongoing information for members only on where to obtain their PPE. I'll mention to the group, if you are still having issues obtaining your PPE, reach out to NISDA, reach out to the staff, and they will direct you as to where to get that. And certainly this thing's happening within Henry Schein and TDSC, which I hope everyone is aware of. But the staff will help you gain that vector to get PPE that you need. Currently, we're working on obtaining point of care POC tests that will allow you to determine within 10 minutes if your patient is COVID negative. This will allow you to safely treat your patients as you did prior to the pandemic. It was NISDA's work with the governor that had him issue the executive order recognizing dentists as one of the professions able to do the point of care tests that are CLIA waived. However, we recently received a notice from the New York State Education Department that they consider CLIA waived tests beyond the scope of dentistry. They are incorrect on both science-based and legal-based arguments, and the NISDA board is meeting tomorrow night to plan our strategy to challenge this incorrect ruling. We are now engaged in a full study on how to communicate best to all our members as these issues develop. We have our Lessons Learned Committee and our Crisis Management Committee. In fact, the Board of Trustees approved funds to work with a PR firm to develop messages that you can use to send to your patients about the safety of a dental office and the health risk of postponing dental care. As many of you know, during the pandemic, we couldn't see a lot of patients except for a very limited type of emergencies. I know from my experience, I had patients who lost teeth because of that. That should never happen again. We sent to all members a 30-second video about safety and health that will be on YouTube, which members can place on their social media sites. It could be customized to your office and certainly to your logo. This message will also serve to educate the public policymakers on dentistry as an essential service. Again, we should never be shut down again. For those concerned, there has been no mention, and we intend to keep it that way, about dental office closure as COVID infections continue to fluctuate, which we have seen. The recent JADA study on the safety of the dental office was very important, and we continue to build our messaging around that. Your Board of Trustees adopted an interim policy regarding dentists administering vaccinations. I will mention to the group, if you can do it, do it. The fact is that dentists are on a list from the governor as being able to administer the vaccine, and some have already participated in this effort. I will also highlight NISDA's drive to sign up to volunteer. Please take some time to sign up for both Serve New York and NISDA's own database of those willing to volunteer. NISDA has led the way on this front, and the public service from our profession has certainly been noticed and is a big plus for our advocacy efforts with the legislators. Ethically, certainly a benefit to the patient and the public that we serve. However, please understand, you will not be mandated to do this, but having signed up as a vaccinator, I will tell you, it's an incredibly gratifying thing to do. Of course, the most important question of the day is about the COVID vaccine itself. As you are all aware, dentists and the dental team started to receive the vaccine as of January 4th. There was never a question of whether dentists were part of Group 1A, but our work with the governor's office and the availability of vaccines allowed the dentists and non-hospital physicians to become eligible earlier than originally planned. That said, I know getting a slot could be both challenging and frustrating. Spots come and go based on availability, and the statewide system crashes frequently still. We have found that local health departments and regional hubs can be a better source for open slots. As supply increases, things are certainly improving. I want to thank your ED, Diane, who has found some up for your region, and certainly for disseminating that information. Additionally, you can find them on our NISDA vaccine webpage. Just log into NISDA.org and click on vaccine information, which I will tell you, the amount of information on our website is incredible. Strange thing is not enough people are going on there, but the value of that information, unbelievable for every day sitting at the chair. So please read our newsletters sent almost daily with updated and important information. Also, I must mention an issue of health inspectors showing up and looking for your attestation that you read the dental guidance from the Department of Health and also have the safety plan in your office. NISDA sent out a blast with this information and how to get the forms and send them in. Really simple to do it. You don't want to get in trouble by not being prepared if somebody does knock on your door. Finally, as Lois had mentioned, I'll address our next annual session, which has been moved from June to August 13th through the 15th, with the consent of the line officers and certainly the Board of Trustees. First and foremost, I need everyone to know that safety will be our focus, our primary concern, and if it appears that our meeting can't be held safely in person, we're prepared to have it virtually. We have arranged very favorable terms with the meeting vendors if we have to cancel. However, your board understood the value of returning to normal and being able to interact with colleagues, allowing a better exchange of information for the delegates, especially consider there is at least one election this year for ADA trustee. Additionally, our survey sent out was clearly overwhelming in favor of having an in-person meeting. Note, I should tell everyone that splitting the meeting up, because this has come up many times, it poses some problems with the elections in June and the live meeting in August with delegate elections and also some of our bylaws amendments. So that's why the thought was really to just postpone it and hopefully have it in August. But if it's not going to be safe, certainly we can manage that again. And last year, you know, it's funny, having my meeting, or I say Suffolk County's meeting, I decided to move it up to Saratoga. Financially, it's a home run. As much as it's unfortunate that we have to meet in Zoom and not see each other in person, if it had to be, and I expect this not to be an issue next year, I'm prepared to do that too. And if it saves the society a couple of $100,000, then it's an okay thing to do. But with that, I'll close shortly, but before I do, I want to challenge everyone with what I consider priority number one right now, which is membership. And everyone knows that it's the buzzword. We use it. It's been the buzzword for the 35 or almost 35 years that I'm involved. We owe our strength and our ability to successfully represent dentistry in New York to the fact that we speak for over 65% of the profession. No other professional organization even comes close to that. Membership begins at the component level, and we need you more now than ever to deliver that message, that membership benefit message. We have the tools available for you on our website, and I thank Diane, your ED, who has been an obvious active participant in the component executive director as they strategize together to encourage membership. Now my specific ask, and I want people to listen to this closely. I'm going to propose my one specific request directly related to our significance, meaning NISDA, our profession, dentistry, and specifically a huge membership drive. As many of you are aware, I lecture on risk management for NISDA and certainly for MILMIC. Given the age of Zoom and the ability to connect virtually with anyone in New York State, I have developed a potential yearly initiative to introduce all the program residents graduating in May to both organized dentistry, which is NISDA certainly, malpractice coverage, MILMIC, and the risk management course, which I will tell you has morphed to be a really, really solid course. Not boring, but more so if I could tell you, it's the, and I know Lois took the course when I did it in New York County. It's kind of the cop show of what they didn't teach you in dental school. Additionally, this course is at no charge. I'll be presenting by Zoom Sunday morning, May 16th, and I ask anyone involved in a program to promote and educate your residents as to the importance of both the entities, NISDA and MILMIC, and the need to participate in this lecture. Truly a bit different than what you learned during your training, but I need everyone to understand in terms of a membership drive, when I look at this, potentially, we could have approximately, if we just keep it to residents, we could have approximately 800 people on this call. I've already done some of the Zoom calls with approximately 200. 800 doesn't make a difference. But if you think about 800 people, that translates into a potential huge number of new members for the society and certainly new policyholders for MILMIC, which, you know, sitting on underwriters for MILMIC, my experience for all the years I've been involved, a very solid company. And that doesn't negate some of the other malpractice companies out there, but just to have our members understand that they need to be protected, and that protection is often tied to organized dentistry, is a wonderful thing. So with all your help, I know NISDA and our profession will continue to be a strong presence in New York State, as it has been since 1868, when we were formed by an active legislator. So with that, I truly thank you all in New York County for being you, and I look forward to serving you all to the best of my abilities. The last thing I'll say, and if you want, I know you guys have business, if you have questions, certainly you can ask them now. But the last thing I'll say is I am incredibly approachable 24/7. If there's anything, feel free, reach out. If you happen to get my voicemail, I'll call you back as soon as I see there's a voicemail. So with that, Madam President, I hand it back to you, but I truly thank you all for all of the support prior, during, and certainly moving forward. So thank you again. And Madam President, I hand it back to you. Questions at all from anyone?
If there are any questions for Dr. Henner, you can always send us your request and we'll get him in touch with you. Thank you, Kevin, for an exciting and enthusiastic discussion of what NISDA means to us and what NISDA is doing for us. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Lois. And listen, have a wonderful meeting. I'm sorry I took so long, but with that and Susan, the pictures of Fire Island will come shortly. So Lois, thank you so much. And I wish you all a wonderful meeting. And I really, truly hope to see you guys soon.
Hopefully in person.
Thanks, Kevin.
Hopefully in person.
David, thank you too.
I'll see you
Take
soon.
care, folks.
Take care and have a good evening.
You too.
Dr. Henner makes the benefits of organized dentistry more exciting than they are on paper. So I'm glad that that he was here to speak to us. And our next item of business is the proposed nominating committee for 2021. And this is our proposed nominating committee for the openings on our board and for the office of treasurer. Are there this is the nominating committee that was proposed by our board and our EC. Any comments or questions? If not, Diane is going to set up a poll so that we can approve the nominating committee. Is that happening? No?
For some reason, the poll isn't coming up. I don't know if someone who signed in
Can we
as.
just do it? Can we do it
verbally.
by voice vote?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any objections?
Any objections? Any abstentions? All in favor? Say aye, please.
Aye.
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 It seems that
Aye.
by everyone voted. Okay. It seems that with no objections, abstentions, the ayes have it, and the proposed 2021 nominating committee is approved. Thank you very much. And at this point, I have the honor and privilege of introducing our treasurer, Dr. Vera Tang, who will present the proposed 2021-2022 budget for your information and approval. Dr. Tang.
Madam President. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. So as a reminder, New York County's fiscal year runs from July to June. So the budget is for the period July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, period of July 1st to June 30th, 2020. This budget is similar to the budget. I should read 2022, no?
2020.
Yes, it does.
I think it's supposed to be 2022. I think there was a typo. This budget is very similar to the budget that we had operating under the current fiscal year. As most of you know, we didn't have a Greater New York meeting this year in 2020 or this past year. And so the last year, we decreased our expenses to about 500,000 or nearly 30%. And we are continuing those expense savings in the next year in our budget as well. So we're doing the best we can with the budget that we have. Also, most of New York County's revenue comes from the Greater New York meeting. Although we are planning a meeting for this fall in November of 2021, we fully anticipate that we will be able to hold a smaller meeting this year. And we're also taking a very conservative approach. And so we are not budgeting for any revenue from this meeting in this budget. So as you know, New York County Dental Society operates under two budgets, one for New York County and one for the Henry Spadotto continuing education budget. So for the New York County budget, due to the lack of Greater New York budgeted revenue, we budgeted a deficit of $725,254. As you can see on the spreadsheets that you have here. And for the Henry Spadotto continuing education budget, we'll be running on a deficit of $125,000. We are happy to answer any questions if there are any. And if there are none, we will launch a poll or take a vote.
Yeah, the polls were there earlier, but now I can't launch, there's neither one of them. So I guess if there are just any objections, we should hear them, and if not, approve the budget.
Any objections to the budget that's proposed?
Or any questions?
Any questions to begin with? Thank you, Dr. Tang. Any
Sorry.
questions? Remember, this is an aspirational budget, as Dr. Tang stated, based on how the Greater New York meeting does this year. And it is because of the great work of Diane Lorenzo that we're able to present this budget today, because of all of the question marks that we have going forward. And are there any other questions about our budget? No? Any objections? Any abstentions? I'm going to call for a voice vote. Please unmute. All in favor, say aye.
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 Based on the ayes have it, and our aspirational budget has been passed for 2021, 2022.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And at this point in this evening, we come to our guest speaker. Our guest speaker who's here from Cary, North Carolina. And I think that that's a good thing that we're doing this virtually, because he doesn't have to come north to do this. Dr. Elliott is a fellow pediatric dentist, and will be speaking on maintaining team loyalty and support in the middle of a pandemic, which I know I face every day, and I'm sure all of you do too. And I'm going to turn this over to Susan Apsley, our education director, to introduce Dr. Elliott formally. Bobby, I look forward to your talk tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are really pleased to welcome Dr. Robert Elliott. He is from Louisville, Kentucky, where he graduated from the University of Louisville School of Dentistry. His pediatric dental residency was completed at the UNC School of Dentistry and UNC Memorial Hospital in Chapel Hill. Dr. Elliott is a diplomate of the American Board of Pediatric Dentistry and is an adjunct clinical professor at both the University of North Carolina and University of Louisville Schools of Dentistry. Dr. Elliott lectures to other dentists, specialists, dental team members, and residents. He is often called upon to consult with new office construction, as well as dental team development and practice. Dr. Elliott works with his best friend and partner and 12 rock star team members and has been in private practice for 22 years in Cary, North Carolina. Dr. Elliott will talk about maintaining team loyalty and support in the middle of a pandemic. Dr. Robert Elliott.
Thank you guys very much for your time tonight and for the opportunity to talk with you guys. Something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's our team members. And I think this is certainly a time we've been challenged like no other. So I do believe that there's an opportunity, if you have questions, to use the chat feature, and Susan can field those. I will also be listing my contact information at the end of my presentation. So if you need to get in contact with me directly, I'd be happy to respond to that. I'm going to share my screen here so that we can use a PowerPoint presentation. All right. Okay. Well, strong team morale is never a luxury item. It's always an essential one. And that is especially true for today. Dental practices that can sustain employee morale during this horrible virus that has disrupted their business will be better off than those who watch it vanish in front of them. In today's business environment, I would hope everybody could remember one thing, and that is if you take care of your employees, they will in turn take care of you. This is one of my favorite photos that I use often, and it's a great description of how many roles as a dentist and a business owner that we utilize. I think typically the public and our team members and our patients view dentists as being successful, but have no idea of the other challenges that we deal with on a regular basis. US News voted our profession number 4 in 2019. And early last year, we jumped to number 2. But it was then the rug was pulled out from underneath us. And, we really weren't sure how long this was going to last. We had never experienced something like this in our lifetime. And it took us coming together after we fell off of our chairs and pulled ourselves up to try to figure out what we could do. It was devastating to all of us, but we pushed through it and we never gave up hope. And even though we may have sloughed our gut a couple of times, we pulled together and we figured out how to make this work. Just a quick review. We know what we were challenged with very early in 2020. In March, we had to quickly become, I felt like a law student, and I'm sure many of you did, that within a week we had to quickly learn how to manage our team members. And then I felt like they handed us the final exam after a crash course in law school for a week, and we're told to take the final exam. We weren't sure what the difference of furloughing our team or firing our team, what was going to be the best for them to have access to unemployment benefits. Was there going to be anything long-term with us firing them and then having to rehire? It was a crash course in employee management, but we figured that out. The second pillar that I think that we all were challenged with is how do we stabilize our practice financially when the cash flow stopped immediately and abruptly, and for how long we didn't know. We had to secure practice financing and everybody was scrambling for their PPP or their EIDL funding. We had to learn another language. We then became accountants very quickly from law students to accounting students. And once we finalized that, we got to breathe a little bit. We just didn't know for how long. But once we started to see a little bit of hope on how to strategize on how to reopen, we had to deal with bringing our team members back and how were we able to retain them through this horrible event. And once we got them back on board, how do we retain our patients and our patient base? So all of those, everybody did great. And it may not have been perfect, but we got through it and we got through it together. So that is in our rearview mirror. What we, I think, are dealing with more now is the employee morale. while we're still in the middle of this disease. We know, or infection, we know that about 2/3 of employers can say that employee morale has been a challenge during COVID-19. So it is a high number. This is another one of my favorite signs. We have this in our team room, and I put this up because it is important to make sure that everyone that's in your boat or on your team is rowing and not drilling holes when you're not looking. If you feel like some of your team members have fallen off and become more toxic because there's a lot of pressure on not just them, but on all of us, it's important to stand up and reevaluate, stand up for your practice, stand up for your positive team members, and evaluate if you can rehabilitate this person, or is it somebody that needs to go, or can you be flexible to try to get them back on board. But we're all under a large amount of stress at this time, but it is important that everybody that's on your team is rowing and not drilling holes. One of the biggest things I think most people agree with me that I've talked to from our colleagues is that there is a current shortage of dental workforce members. We were fortunate enough to bring all 14 of our team members back, including our hygienist, but I know that's not been the case for a lot of our colleagues. Are you all also finding that trying to interview new people has been much more of a challenge now than it ever has been in the past? I'm lucky if anybody shows up for their interview, I feel like, and I've never had that experience before. It is an interesting level of professionalism that has been challenged with trying to hire new team members, and it has been a challenge. But dental assistants and hygienists, I feel like, have certainly been two of the more challenging hires. This certainly didn't help the situation from a hiring standpoint. I feel like that this helped people feel more comfortable to make ends meet, which is great, but it also gave them a little less oomph to get out there and try to find their job, perhaps. I feel like definitely locally, our pool of applicants, qualified applicants for dental positions has been drained, and I'm hearing that from our colleagues across the United States as well. But here's what we have to remember. This is the hand we've been dealt. We have to make the best with the cards that we've been given. I try to tell people, and I remind myself on a daily basis, only deal with what is in your control and what you can affect. Don't worry about things that are out of your control. I can't worry about the cards that are in your hand. I can only worry about the cards that are in mine. So every day we try to make the best hand that we've been dealt, and the hand changes on a daily basis. So with that being said, let's just quickly give you an overview of the main topics I'd like to discuss with you tonight. Communication between team and leadership is defined as not only the doctors, but your managers in your practice, your team leads, your practice administrator, your clinical manager. Continuous feedback from your team. This can be a challenge for the people who don't like to be vulnerable and ask how they're doing, but we're going to talk about some tips on that. More than ever, being flexible with your team, remembering that they also are under a tremendous amount of stress. Many of them have had to become teachers at home with their kids who may still be virtual, but we are slowly moving towards getting back in person, but we're not there yet. So flexibility with the team we'll talk about. We have learned that giving back to our community as a team has united us and has helped us find the glue that bonds our relationships together, and ultimately is what gives our team members a lot of job satisfaction. And at the last point that we'll talk about is, this is a time to reward your team for the hard work and all of the extra effort and the fact that they came back to see our patients. We want to make sure that we reward them. All right, let's start off with communication. Meeting with your team members often is vital. I feel like as a clinician, I'm with my clinical team 95% of the day. I see my admin team in the morning huddle. I see them as I'm in the lunchroom getting my lunch, but going back to eat it in my office. So I don't really have the quality time around the lunchroom table that we used to have. And I may not see them again until the next morning at the morning huddle. So my admin team, I've had to really put under our wing, and we have said that we would meet with them. It was once a week for just 15 minutes, but now we've moved to every other week, and it'll probably go to quarterly once we are back fully operational. But I think it's important to acknowledge that our admin team members, they're the ones who get our patients back into our practice. They're the ones who were the workhorse of our practice to reschedule thousands and thousands of appointments in order to reopen. So for them to not only be acknowledged, but for them to hear the words, "How can I help you?" or "What is on your plate right now that you are having the most problems with? Let's try to problem solve that." That is incredibly important to those team members. And they're the ones who really went through it initially and got challenged tremendously. Our clinical team, we get to work with them daily, but we don't ever often have time to just talk freely without patients or parents being near. So it's important to carve that time out. And then monthly, I would highly encourage you to meet with your team over lunch. It would be great if you could bring lunch in, but still be physically distanced and masked. But it's important to be together so that admin can check in with the clinical team can check in with admin on all of these new policies that we've implemented that are very fluid, right? These are still changing. And as these change, we need to make sure that we are ahead of the game and that our team feels confident in the choices that we as a team developed from a script standpoint. So we know how we're going to respond to the patient base. Role play some questions that we feel like would be the most popular questions, like, do I still have to wear a mask? And as those policies evolve, make sure that we are all confident in those responses to those patients or parent questions. And then at the end of the day, if you could just grab everybody before everybody runs out the door and just say, "Hey, I want to let you know I care enough to check in with you on how your day went." And let me tell you, it's been so healthy to have the team be able to have an opportunity to say, we got really bottlenecked right here. And I think it's because that we didn't have someone checking temperatures or asking the questionnaires, or this family was late. Try to strategize on how you can not have that situation repeat itself. But again, opening those lines of communication, super important. This was something that we developed at the end of each day. We asked the team as a collective whole to vote on whether it was a green, yellow, or a red day. And that means patient flow. How did it go at checkouts? Was there any bottlenecks? Green, great. Yellow, there was some bumps in the road, but red, the wheels fell off. And we know we have those days. But if you can just keep track of these days, then at the end of the month or the quarter, you can pull these together. And it's another way to send a positive message to our team that, hey guys, look, the majority of the time we had good flow, we had green days, there were no issues, but the ones that were red, let's go pull that schedule and let's talk about the days that were red so that we can identify any problems that we had. This doesn't take a lot of time or effort, but it shows that you care enough to ask and check in with your team. This is a phrase that I have taught my team to use rather than saying, "How have you been?" or "What's been going on?" I mean, we're in the middle of being upside down still. So I've tried to emphasize it's important to say, "How are you doing today?" Not Sunday, not worried about Tuesday, but today is Monday, and how's your Monday going? That seems to be a lot more genuine and more well received, whether it's me asking my team members or our team members asking our patients. It really seems to improve the dialogue and the responses rather than just, "How have you been?" "I'm fine." It's that my "I'm fine" face is put on rather than giving them an opportunity to really be genuine. "How are you today?" Something else that I like to ask my team members, and this is gonna border on being vulnerable and opening yourselves up. So I know not everybody is wired like that, but if you can send these two questions as messages to your team: what can I do better as your leader, as your employer, but also as your teammate? I am working right alongside with my other teammates, my co-workers. I try to break that wall down of the doctor versus the team member hierarchy, and it's that we're all there for the same reason, and that's to provide excellent patient care and high level of customer service. So how can I help you personally? How can I help you at work? And then what can I do to be better for you? That is an incredible, humble way of letting them know how much that you care and that your compassion is there. The second part to this, and as important, is to listen. Make sure that you don't interrupt, just sit back and listen to any suggestions that they have. This is an important piece for the employees to say that they feel they have a voice in the success of the practice and to the daily happiness that they have, that your office culture, your positive office culture. Don't forget to follow through with what they've asked. Take time to think about it, thank them for their suggestions, but make sure that you revisit this with them either at a team meeting, a morning huddle. Thank you guys for that suggestion. I appreciate that. You know, and let them know what action you're taking in order to improve that. An example that we had was our admin team was overrun with trying to reschedule appointments, answer the phone, check patients out. And now we've asked them to run through this whole series of COVID questions, take their temperature. That was a lot. So they asked for additional help. So we hired some pre-dental students, some college students who are looking to go to dental school to help us. And that made a huge difference. And they appreciated that extra help. So that's a perfect example. Something else to ask your team, can they answer yes to the following questions? I am satisfied with my employer's response to the COVID-19 situation. I feel well supported by my employer at this time. I know what I should be focusing on right now, or what tasks are most important and priority. And I have the resources I need to do my job both efficiently and safely. Ask your team members to just write down their answers to that, and they can submit those anonymously. But what you're looking for is the office culture. Where is everybody at mentally? People appreciate just being heard right now. So make sure that you listen and check in. 3 statements that I like to use in front of parents or patients is that I couldn't have done that without you. I love telling my dental assistants after I've wrestled that alligator down in that op appointment and the mom is there, she's thanking us. I say, I couldn't have done that without my assistant. And that really means a lot to those people on your team. Oftentimes I will tell my admin team, I trust you guys. I trust that our schedule is going to be filled the best of your ability. If there's holes, that's okay. I let them know that I'm not jumping out of my chair to fill every appointment because they've tried their hardest. And if it's 80% full, like it was today, and it's spring break, they did a pretty great job. And I want them to know I'm proud of them, I thank them, and that I trust them, and that I depend on them. So those are 3 statements to put in your pocket that can really show the gratitude that you have for your team. This was something that I came across many years ago, and the website is baudeville.com, but these are tokens of appreciation that I will randomly keep in my pocket and just pull a team member off to the side and give them one of these and let them know to keep it in their pocketbook or their wallet. Just anytime they feel down, pull this out and let them know they're appreciated and that we couldn't do what we do every day without them. What is important, and I try to do, is keep track of who gets which ones so that I don't duplicate, that a team member gets the same one. But this can be spread over, a year or 2 years. But it's a great way to say thank you. And you can find those for very inexpensively there on baudeville.com. All right, our third topic here is team flexibility. Right now, I believe that almost 3/4 of team members, when they're looking for new positions or jobs or at their current job, team flexibility is one thing that they look at. It's important to provide unprecedented flexibility to your employees because of the additional stress they may be under at home, or taking care of a sick parent, or having to keep their kids at home and do virtual learning. try to think about the things that you can do to increase that flexibility, because ultimately this is what improves job satisfaction on their part. Maybe you look at rotating your schedule. We have certain team members who will work on a Monday and some that will work on a Friday, along with other days through the week, but there's some that can't. So if they can't work on the Monday, then my Friday crew said, hey, I can switch with you and I can cover you on that day. Maybe some people have to leave early to be home, or they can only work after 1 o'clock. So they're there from 1 to 5. If you can allow your team members to cover each other and flex, or hire an additional person that could be someone who could like be a rover or a fill-in, that can at this point in time really help the flexibility of your team members. I also, as a doctor, have asked my team members, would you guys be willing to be closed on alternating Mondays and Fridays for a 4-day practice instead of just working Monday through Thursday? What if we work some Tuesdays through Fridays and then Monday through Thursday so that we have a long weekend? We could have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off one week, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off another week. So look at that, alternating your Fridays and your Mondays. Can any of your admin team members verify insurance from home? That might be a way for them to still be helping the practice, but also be watching their children while they're in virtual school. Do you have the ability to hire 2 part-time people? Like initially our hygienist said that she really only wanted to come back part-time, and we looked at hiring another part-time hygienist so that we still had full-time coverage, but 2 part-time hygiene employees. That helped from a benefit standpoint when we still were conscious about our finances, but it really helped her want to stay with the practice because we were able to flex and work with her. And then do you need to adjust any office hours to help to maybe see patients earlier or stay later? You know, maybe it's just this time in our lives and our practice careers that we need to make adjustments so that it's not just Monday through Thursday from 8 to 5. But the fluidity of the current pandemic right now just it demands flexibility, both from our employees and from us as well. The fourth topic here would be giving back together to the community. Volunteering seems to be the glue that really pulls us together, and it can be current stuff that you volunteer for as a team. Like it used to be maybe helping with testing, but now maybe it's delivering the vaccine or helping to organize that. Serving dinners, you know, at some of the homeless shelters, whatever you can find to do together, or as many people that can do it. I can promise you what you put out into the universe, you get back tenfold, that it is the glue that can pull you together. Just find ways to organize. These are pre-COVID photos. I want to make sure everybody realizes that, but this was us volunteering at our local health department and seeing the children of the health department while some of our colleagues saw the older patients or the adults. And it was just a good time. Give Kids a Smile is obviously near and dear to Lois and our other pediatric colleagues' hearts, that we want to help to see those children who have access to care problems. But again, doing this together just builds rapport and builds stories that can last a long time in your practice. And the last point here is to reward your team. For those that have gone above and beyond in such an incredibly difficult time, try to find small ways to reward your team. I am a firm believer, before COVID, we would always take one afternoon every quarter from 2 to 5, and we would go find something fun to do together. This is a time when we went out and we kind of built and painted our own little decorations to take home. But, you know, maybe this is, you're available to do this now, but we're masked. And in this area, they would separate us so that we're socially distanced appropriately. But you can also do other things. I've seen locally, you can rent out some movie theaters for a much cheaper price, and everybody's spread out through the movie theater, but you can go to the movies together. There's a lot of ways to be very creative with this, but it's important to remember now more than ever not to be stingy, not to say we've got to hold on to every penny. It is okay to take a very small piece of your collections and say, let's celebrate. Let me honor you guys by doing something fun. There is one website I'd like you to write down. It's called cratejoy.com, www.crate, like C-R-A-T-E, joy.com. This is a subscription service that we gave to all of our dental assistants during Dental Assistance Week last month, that they can log on, and we give them a specific dollar amount, like $200, and they can pick what subscription they would like, whether it's new socks every month or new recipes, the wine club, whatever it is, but they get something every month, and you can do it for 3 months or 6 months or 12 months. But that is a really great way to reward your team for not a lot of outgoing expense. And that was cratejoy.com. This is when we went and all had, it was called Wine by Design, where you got to drink a little and paint a picture. Again, you could do this, you know, with your mask on and being physically distanced. But these are some of the things that we really enjoyed that were outside of patient hours in our practice time. And then this is one thing that I came up with very early on in my practice career, and it was for our patients' parents. For Valentine's Day, we would order a bunch of either red carnations or red roses. We would count how many patient families we had that day so that we had enough to give each mom or dad a rose. And what I didn't think about was some of our families are single parent moms. And so that was the only rose or flower they would get on Valentine's Day. That really carried a lot more weight than I even realized. But Mother's Day, we know, is on Sunday. So on our last day prior to Mother's Day, we would have flowers for the moms or for the dads to give to their wife if they were mothers. And then another one is St. Patrick's Day, green carnations that we recently had. The kicker this year is I ordered extra of all of these, and I gave them to the team at the end of the day so that they could take some flowers home. But this was just another easy way to just have 5-star customer service and also gratitude for your team. Let's see, what else can we talk about? These are the goals that we've kind of alluded to, that all of these things can lead to. Positive team morale, which translates to retention of your team and not having to let somebody go or somebody leaves. By the way, a team member turnover, the average turnover cost to us as business owners is $25,000. $25,000 includes what it costs to put the ad out there, the downtime that you have with decreased production, the time it takes to hire that person and train them and bring them back up to speed to replace the person that left. So again, it is much more in our benefit to retain our important team members. Having a healthy office culture, a positive office culture. We need to be happy as the providers and the doctors of the practice. Work-life balance follows under that, and team member retention. So everything we've talked about leads up to these categories, but I also try to think of what else I could share with you in the time that we have that could be creative. Very early in my career, an incredible mentor of mine gave me some of the wisest advice, and he said, Bobby, I want you to put 3 paper clips in your right pocket every morning, and I want you to just give out 3 random compliments, whether it's to your team members, to your patients. And every time you give a random compliment, move one of those paper clips over to your left pocket. At the end of the day, make sure that you have 3 paper clips in your left pocket. I do that automatically now, but it was a great process to learn the importance of just paying it forward, putting that positivity out there. I know I'm not in the best mood every day that I go to my office. But what I can do is put my face on, put my paper clips in my pocket and smile and recognize that every time I give a compliment to somebody, what they give back to you is incredible. And that's how I turn my days around. Whatever is happening in my personal life, I know I can turn that around by giving out compliments and putting that positive energy out into the universe. Don't forget to find the joy at work. And that means to celebrate your team members' birthdays, their office anniversaries. This is Sonia. She's our clinical manager. We just celebrated her 20-year anniversary with the practice 2 weeks ago. And she loves sunflowers. I know that about her. So we got her 20 sunflowers. We knew that was important to her, and an award. Again, we don't have to do something crazy huge. Some people do. I put this out on one of our blogs, and I had some colleagues who say they go for, they offer cruises, they offer vacations, fully paid vacations, all the way up to a car. So I wasn't sure if I was talking to Oprah or one of my colleagues, but you get a car, you get a car. But it is important to try to find something that you are comfortable with, but it honors your team. That is the take-home message, is to honor your team. on their anniversary of their practice. And on their birthdays, we give them a rose on their birthday, and we give them, for the number of years they've been with the practice, that's how many roses that they get on their birthday. So those are just small ways, but you can still find the joy, find the silver linings. This was our Christmas card. We are known in our office over the last 22 years of practicing to always do a fun Christmas card each year. This was one where we were photographed individually. So it is COVID friendly, right? And then we just photoshopped all of those in to look like a snowflake. But every year we have had to try to be creative with our Christmas cards. And this year was no exception. With COVID, we had an artist do a caricature of each of our faces from our websites where it says meet the team members and meet the doctor. They painted a caricature of our faces, and we were able to put that as a composite. So we never had to come together to take a picture. It was already done for us. So just find creative ways. Again, random acts of kindness, the things that I've learned over the years or that people have shared with me that we've implemented in our practice. The power of a handwritten card or note, I can't underscore enough, especially during the holidays, during Christmas or Passover, or the holidays that any of us celebrate. Just take 5 minutes to write each team member a card and just say, thank you for being you. I enjoy working with you, and personalize it. But we do that every year at the end of the year to each team member. I did ask many team members over the years, tell me what your favorite gift was that your employer, your boss gave you. And without a doubt, the most popular answer was they hand wrote me a card. They personalized it in some way that let me know that it wasn't just a standard note. I also tried to send an appreciation text to random team members on the weekends. I think we all have our own hierarchy in our head of who our team leads are and who's not the strongest, but is learning. That's the person to focus on. Send that text message to the person who needs the most support. For them to get a random message on a Saturday afternoon from their boss that says, I just want you to know I enjoy working with you, or I always enjoy seeing you laugh. You have one of the best laughs ever. That goes an extremely long way. I also like to brag on my team in front of my parents and my patients. I always thank them for helping me get through that procedure. We referenced that earlier. But if I know a team member is around the corner and they don't see me, but they can hear me, the unsolicited compliment to a parent in a very genuine manner to say, you know, she's really a lot of fun to work with. She is a great mom, and her kids, she's done such a great job raising her kids. For a team member to hear that unsolicited response within an earshot, that is an incredibly powerful message to be able to send to that team member that you really care about them. The picture on the right of your screen, the giving plates. This is something I found on Amazon. And the way we utilize this is we have team members or myself will, bake some cookies or put some kind of food on that plate, wrap it up, and we give it to somebody who may be ill, or to a family member, to a friend, a neighbor who isn't going, or who's going through a very rough time, who isn't feeling the best. And the idea is that after they eat that food and they read the message on the plate, is that they pass it forward. They in turn give it to somebody else. These are really inexpensive off Amazon, and we keep these in stock at the office. And 2 or 3 times a year, we'll hand these out to team members and pay it forward. And that is just another great way to put positive energy out to the universe. And then finally, words of affirmation, just random positive thoughts to just let team members know how much they're appreciated. Or, man, I saw that mom just kind of rip into you, at check-in. You don't deserve that. And often I will ask them to apologize to my team members if I get involved or if I'm made aware of that. But just to acknowledge that they had to put up with something. Remember, our front desk, they're the ones who are on the phone with people who are upset they can't get the appointment they want, or that they have to reschedule, or they can't get in exactly when they want to. They take a lot of the brunt. They have to ask for money every day. Those are things that we don't have to do. Don't forget to thank them for that. Star cards was another suggestion from another office. These are carbon copy little handouts at the checkout area for parents to complete and fill out about other team members. When a parent tells me how appreciative that they were about one of my schedulers or about the person who helped them with their insurance, I say, thank you for sharing that with me. I agree with you, but I tell you, if you could write that down, there's a star card when you check out to fill out. That would mean the most, because we hand those out to our team members every morning huddle. They can tape those to their locker at their office so they can see that on a daily basis, and it reinforces to keep that attitude positive. But it also is a way to take these quotes and put them on your website or to put them on your Facebook page. These are great ways to garnish positive comments to share it not only with your team, but to put them on your website. This is another favorite of mine that we've done recently. We talked so much about how do we support our kids and our patients when they come back. What can we do to make it fun? You know, decorate our face shields and you know, give out special prizes, but still be physically distanced. But I said, what can we do for the parents, specifically the moms in our practice who are really the ones that have to wear two hats now, or that they have to work from home and be at home with their children virtually. So we came up with these emotional support coupons, because not everybody can ask for what they need, right? Is it easier to slide one of these coupons to their husband or to their spouse and just let them read what it is that they need? So we have these all color coordinated at checkout, and they can take as many as they want, or however many of these that they would like. They can take one of each if they want. But this has been really well received, that the parents in our practice say, thank you for thinking of me. It's been tough. We're worn ragged and I'm burning it at both ends. So this was a nice way to ask for a chore, like can the husband or spouse go to the grocery for her one time this week, or prepare the dinner, or to wash my car, or give me a massage, or rub my feet. Just great ways to try to help support our parents. I referenced early on about how to have additional help to help decrease the stress. Jack on the left and Scarlett here on the right with the arrows, they are our pre-dental students who are applying to dental school. They have been invaluable during this time to help stock the shelves when supplies come. We have to increase our appointment times now and be physically distant. So to have an extra set of hands in the office to help do temp checks and COVID check-ins, and just an all-around kind of quarterback to help us out has been invaluable. We're talking $10 an hour to help. You know, they want a letter of recommendation, which is great for dental school. And in turn, we are teaching them about dentistry and teamwork and how to be good leaders. People will often ask me, how do you find great team members? And I, without a doubt, without blinking an eye, say I don't. I said I create them. I try my best to create a great team member. What I will tell you is that we hire not for skill set, I hire for core value. I can teach you to be a better assistant, I can teach you to be a better hygienist. I can't teach you to be a good person. You have to come with those core values. So we can create great team members by teaching them the skill set, but we hire for core value. Try to remember to, when you wake up every morning, as we wrap up here in closing, to think about which superhero you want to be each morning before you come into work. That means staying in constant contact and communication with your team. Talk with them constantly, and alternatively listen to them and put those suggestions into play. Work with everyone and try to be as flexible as you can. Connect employees to the community. Try to volunteer as often as you can, and don't forget to reward your team. I think it's just, in this day and age, human connection is what we were void of for so long. And now that we are back into the practice with our team members, our patients, we want to retain those team members. We may not be hugging yet. We may not be high-fiving or shaking hands, but we can certainly show our gratitude and appreciation through all of these suggestions. Take care of your team, and in return, they will take care of you, I promise you. This is my team I'm super proud of. This is actually New York. We came to New York for a day trip as a big reward. We flew up had limos waiting for us. We drove around, we went to eat in Hell's Kitchen. We went down and saw the toy store, of course, you know, the pedo being pediatric dentist, but we just had a great day. And then we flew back that night, direct flight. They just were floored that we would do this. I booked dummy patients on the schedule the entire day. They had no idea that we were going to the airport. So, but again, these are the people that take care of me and that make my life and my career incredibly sustainable and also just very rewarding. And I love them just like my family. So I appreciate your time tonight. This is my contact information. If you'd like to reach out to me, I'm happy to try to respond, but we can take questions if there were any messages that came across the chat. I'm certainly happy to try to field those for you right now.
Dr. Elliott, I do have one question that
Yeah.
I see, and that is, have any of your team morale efforts backfired?
Have any of them backfired? Well, it's important to make sure that you're fair and equitable. So you have to be careful that it isn't interpreted as any favoritism. So we're very fair in what we do for our team, what we offer for our clinical team. We talked about that cratejoy.com. That's going to be offered to our admin team during Admin Appreciation Week. But I don't think anything has necessarily backfired. I will say that while we were closed, we had Zoom meetings often, and I had one team member who just wanted to take a break. Like for 2 months, she didn't make one Zoom meeting. And I was incredibly hurt by that. Like we were trying to stay connected every Tuesday night from 7 o'clock to 7:30, and she didn't want to participate. But it wasn't until we got back together and I could sit down with her and say, you know, share with me what your thought process was, rather than me just harboring anger. She let me know that she had found out that her dad was diagnosed with cancer, and she just wanted to be with him and just disconnect from the practice and from anything that had to do with going through this COVID mess. She was scared to death that she was going to contract COVID and give it to him. So I don't think that anything necessarily backfired, but there were some bumps that I had to ask a little deeper questions about to find out the answers to.
Okay, I have just one more, and
Sure.
that is, how long have your staff members been with you?
Sonia has been my longest employee. We celebrated 20 years. I've been in practice 22 years. I would say the majority of our team members have been with us long-term, unless 3 things happen. The spouse moves because they got a job transfer. So I consider that still a win because they didn't leave on bad terms. If they have retired because they have gone through their dental career. I've had some older, wise veterans that we hired that were 20, 25 years into their career early on in my career. And so they've retired on my watch. And then the third was if they wanted to further their education and go back to hygiene school or try something different. So we lost 2 team members, one going back to college. Her uncle came back from the military and said, I want to pay for your school. I said, Taylor, you can't pass this up. This is an incredible opportunity. We're going to be fine. She felt horrible. And the other one wanted to try accounting or real estate. So we've had some losses along the way. I wouldn't say necessarily that we've had any horrible situations. I have fired several people just because it was not a good fit. But that's what your 90-day probationary period is for, correct? I will give you one other hint that someone gave me, a tip. When you hire somebody, ask them to write out all of the things that they can do to improve the quality of the practice. What can they bring that are traits that are incredible? Because if you ever have a problem with that team member, I have found it very valuable to go back and pull out their list and say, you're really not fulfilling this point that you said that you would, or you're not fulfilling the mission of the practice that deals with being courteous to your coworkers. So you can turn that and hold them accountable for their words and their promises to you in their own handwriting.
I don't see any other questions. Dr. Jackson, do you have
Well,
anything you?
Dr. Elliott, you spoke all about what you give to the team members, but I have one paperclip left for you. All right. I want to thank you for such a heartfelt, relevant presentation this evening. I have to tell you, I've been watching. No one left the Zoom. during the whole thing, and this is a tough audience. I wanted to thank you for agreeing so readily to speak with us this evening. I appreciate your help and your time. And now I can put that paperclip into my left pocket. Thank you so much.
You are very
Thank you
welcome.
for being
Thank
with
you.
us,
Yes.
and we do appreciate it. Thank you for being here. And I know that a lot of the things that you mentioned will be put into practice, relevant, reasonable, and definitely make an impression on all those people. You see, our team members don't have lateral movement and they don't have vertical movement. They just have to be happy in what they're doing on an everyday basis, because that's the best we can do for them. And thank you so much for giving us all of that information. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you very, very
your
much.
all's family time, and I appreciate the time that you took out tonight to meet.
Well,
So thank you guys.
Thank you. See you again soon.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Good trip back.
Right to the kitchen for dinner.
Good trip back. Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks, Lois. Bye, everybody.
Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
You too.
And now, my closing remarks are not that long, but one of the things that I said at the installation was that going forward, New York County would provide what members want and need, as opposed to what we think you want and need. So please contact us, contact me, contact us, the office, any one of the board or the electeds about what you want. And we'll be happy to go forward with that. And the next thing that we have on our schedule is on April 13th. Please join us for a midday talk about working and stress. I'll learn tips to find balance. We're going to have a social worker, a certified social worker and therapist talk to us about the ways, what we can do at this time to lessen the stress on us, those of us who are at-home parents and teachers and the like. And this was a suggestion of Dr. Mentolopoulou, who is, as we know, a working pediatric dentist and the mother of a very, very, very precocious 9-year-old. So if you have any ideas for what you would want us to present, please be in touch with us. Again, and our next event begins on April 21st. It is with the Bank of America, and it's focused on women's financial health. There will be 3 sessions. As I said, the first is on April 21st in conjunction with the Greater New York Dental Meeting, and is on finance. It's the FIT program. The first section is on finance. There'll be another one on investments and another one on tough times. And we look forward to seeing you there. The other thing is that the Greater New York Dental Meeting is at the moment going to be in person. And we at New York County are hoping to see you all in the fall for an in-person event and a celebration that we'll be coming back together again. And we hope to see you also at the Greater New York Meeting in November, which will be an in-person meeting again. And thank you all for attending this meeting. I look forward to your input. Please be in touch. And thank you for being here. And thank you again. Have a good evening.